Hello everyone, my name is Richa Sharma and I am the head of Step Up Mentorship Program at Vajiram Ravi. To begin with this podcast, I would like to start with a quote. Success is not about the absence of obstacles, but the courage to come over it. And this has been a quote which has not just inspired generations, but also our today's topper, who also hails from the same native land of Dr. Kalam, who has spoken out this quote, that is from Ramanathapuram. We are beyond delighted to welcome you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for this invitation.
Yes. RUSAT is the AIR-52 of this year UPSC examination. And I'm so proud to tell that he has been a GA student who has not just aced the examination, but that too at a very young age of 22 years. And so the first thing that I would like to talk about is this is a very rare feat, especially when we see the statistic of this year's toppers. It is really, I think, one of the top 1 percentile which could have scored, a top 100 rank. That too at this young age and that too in first attempt. So to get all of these things aligned, what was your mindset? What was your strategy like from the very beginning? Take me through that.
Ma'am, I think two guiding lights for UPSC journey was previous year question papers, and second is UPSC syllabus. So whenever you used to get confused with respect to this preparation, I used to again go back and revise PYQs, look into the syllabus and make sure where are the topics, what is the domain that is being asked by UPSC in various subjects. So that sort of helped me to navigate this difficult terrain for me actually. So, and moreover, from starting, I had back in mind very clear that I'll be having limited content. I'll be focusing on maximum preparation because this examination is all about performance outcomes across 3 stages of this journey. So I was very clear that whatever materials I have, I'll stick to that. If and when I feel that certain topics is not okay for me, then only I'll go for another material. And that demand once created, I think it will guide you throughout this journey in a sustainable way actually.
Okay. So you have a very commendable clarity over the things from the very beginning. So how is RUSAT, beyond his rank and beyond his scores and academic career, what has led to creation of this clarity, this confidence in you, which is actually, I believe mindset aces over knowledge.
True.
Many times in this preparation.
True, ma'am.
So what has led to creation of that clarity, that mindset that you have?
Ma'am, I think you have rightly pointed out, right mindset is important than right knowledge in this journey. For me, that clarity, I believe it came from the constraint that we have in UPSC. One is the time constraint, and second is that knowledge constraint, and you have resource constraint. And since I belong to economics graduation, so we usually focus on things that are in our hands. So I just focused on things that in my hands, and which was coaching material and PYQs and syllabus. So with this, how can I make sure that maximum yield can be taken out? So that was my mantra for this journey. And I made sure that I'll do maximum articulation, maximum preparation, rather than maximum content accumulation. Because at the end of the day, UPSC is not going to look into notes and therefore it will be awarding you marks. Rather, it will be looking at your performance, the kind of answers you write. Then it will be awarding you marks throughout this journey. So since it is output oriented, I think we need to align our preparation journey towards outcome oriented actually. Focus on your efforts, focus on articulating things, writing things, doing mocks rather than running behind content. So that was the major clarity. I think that had helped, PYQs and syllabus have helped me to reach that clarity actually.
Okay. Since you have highlighted the role of coaching material, so I would also like to tell that we are more than delighted. You have also been a regular student of our foundational course at Vajiram Ravi. So do you remember any instance or any moment which you are able to recall from the coaching classes? Any funny moment, any motivational moment?
I think, ma'am, I remember Summer sir's conversation with one of my classmates, wherein he or she asked sir that, sir, we need some clarity with respect to judiciary. Could you help us out? And could you please teach us judiciary, for instance? He said, okay, beta, 5 बजे आ जाओ. ऑफिस में 5 बजे आ जाओ, वहाँ पे आपको क्लियर कर दूंगा. And she said, he or she said, actually, sir, सुबह या शाम को? He replied funnily that 5 a.m. तो नहीं होगा, कोचिंग भी नहीं खोलता होगा, so you come evening 5 p.m. And he added to that this time of journey, this time, we recognize students not by what kind of knowledge they have, but by what kind of questions they ask. The questions you ask reflect your mental faculties, that how you are employing your mental faculties actually. So that sort of helped me that right mindset is important in this journey, more than right content or right knowledge. Right mindset will guide you towards those pathways for right knowledge, right practice, right content, etc. and etc. So that mindset needs to be developed, and for that I immensely used PYQs and syllabus actually.
Acha, also talking about the classroom and the kind of environment you got over there, is there any particular resource or faculty training, anything that you could remember which has really helped you in the exam? Any particular subject, if you can remind of?
Ma'am, I think Ancient India notes of Prevencer and Medieval India notes, both are optimum and both are to the point actually. And I really loved Prevencer's way of teaching, and used to often share poems and fun facts during classrooms, and that used to keep us laughing and yet oriented towards studies. Since this journey is so tedious, we need that kind of teaching and coaching so that we have that enthusiasm within ourselves. That is the fuel for this preparation. So, and apart from that, polity ke liye, ma'am, I think Ravindran sir's note for fundamental rights, as well as Samir sir's notes actually. So these notes have helped me immensely in history and polity actually.
Okay. And what helped you in the second part of your preparation? The first phase, you were doing your college alongside our coaching classes, right? And in the second year, you prepared by yourself by shifting to your native town, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what exactly made you anchored to the preparation, and what structured your timetable? Would you like to share something?
Ma'am, actually, Vajiram has that main support program wherein they offer for every topic 1.5 hours ka mock test, mains answer writing practice. So what I did was I aligned my timetable in such a way that after every week, or on an average after every week, I used to give a test from main support program. And that used to keep me binding, because for me, it's not about the end goal. For me, it's about the weekly goal. And once I complete those papers, and I used to enthusiastically wait for marks as well, because that is a huge incentive for us. And sometimes you get good feedbacks from the evaluators, and that is sort of rewarding for your efforts that you have taken, you have put over the week actually. So that helped me a lot. That helped me to focus on practice, revision, rather than going behind books, going behind content accumulation, listening to multiple lectures, etc. So that consolidated my preparation, and that also set me towards the path for GS actually, because mostly my mains was GS oriented before prelims, and after prelims I suffered a lot because of poor optional marks. So I shifted my journey completely towards optional. 80% of my time I allotted towards optional, because back in mind I was very confident with my GS preparation, because I had put in a lot of efforts with respect to answer writing, maximum revisions of my coaching notes. So that helped me a lot through this journey.
Okay. So you were talking about notes making, right? And that is something which expedites the process, because there are, I think, few essentials required to clear the exam. Now it is up to the aspirant to decide whether they will be able to do it in 1 year or 2 year, or would take 5 years for that. One of them is analyzing PYQ. The second one is doing the notes making, and third is practicing a lot, right? So I think you have cracked all of these 3 essentials in the first go itself, and I think that has been a big factor in you cracking the exam at such a young age. So, but still, I believe not many of us are convinced about notes making. What is the relevance of notes making? How to take notes? Where to take notes from? And is there a perfect note for anybody or not? Or could you copy toppers' notes?
Actually, ma'am, I'm a poor notes making. I have poor note making skill actually. So in my life, I have never made any complete notes as such. So I relied on coaching notes, and because since coaching mein every faculty has their own way of doing things and their own effort involved in coaching. So I trusted that notes actually. Whatever notes you have, you trust your notes. If you are confused with respect to your notes, have verify it with PYQs, verify it with syllabus, whether these topics are being covered in our notes. Then take another books, reference books, or another topper's copy if you may. And usually I believe every candidate who clears this examination have their own vantage point wherein they see things from their perspective. So they have their own bias in notes making as well. So some may prefer having more flowcharts and more diagrams. Some may prefer paragraphs. Some may prefer bullet points. So what kind of person you are. So that is important. Self-analysis before even choosing what kind of topper's copy you need to verify. So that is very important before looking into materials actually.
Okay, that's amazing. Again, I can get something from this conversation is that you are a very clear-headed person at a very young age, and this is actually a blessing because let's say most of the years gets drained in the UPSC preparation is because of the lack of clarity.
True.
And second is the lack of trust, which you just highlighted, that you have the material, but unless and until you trust it, you will never approach it with that mindset that it is going to yield me something. You will always keep doubting it, that there's something better in the market, so I'll be going after that. And that wastes your time, creates more confusion down the line.
True.
Right? Tell me one more thing, that has the taking foundational courses, do they help you to structure your preparation and kind of expedite the process of clearing the exam? Because many people have grown vehement towards the full-fledged courses. They feel that self-studies could be good, and they are good for many of them, but still, is there any relevance of foundational courses?
Ma'am, I think these are individuals' preferences. But my thought process was that since I was in my final year and I had to take my classes there, and I was also into extracurricular activities, I was in a desperate need of delegating my notes making and teaching process to somebody whom I trust me. So there comes the role of coaching. So since I have done that task with trust, why go against it? Since you have invested some good 10 months into it, have that material, verify it. And if you have some confusions, self-doubts, verify it with PYQs, verify it with syllabus. If you feel like something is being left out in the notes, then go for reference book, then go into the market and verify, get their opinion and find best possible option for you. Without doing these things and blindly ignoring whatever notes, whether it is self-prepared or whether it via coaching, and going and into market and referring to multiple material. Since right now the information is very much overloaded, maybe it is in online and it is in offline as well. So I would say that if you have coaching, if you believe that you have put your heart and soul into that notes, then trust your notes, trust your notes making process, trust the teaching process actually, because you have delegated that to institute or maybe to yourself actually. Once that is done, then I think that it would create duplication of efforts actually. Once you get into NoCheck, get the coaching and also referring standard books, because we have 1 year span of journey if we are serious about our atoms. So then the time constraint is very real. When we ignore the time constraint, then we will have this illusion that we have so much time that is being left out. So okay, then maybe we can go into the market, refer multiple coaching material, refer multiple reference books actually. So that is not a sustainable strategy for me. And I would say the mantra for me helped me in clearing this UPSC examination is that have optimum content, do maximum revision and maximum preparation.
Yeah, and I believe this is something that most of the toppers have been telling repeatedly, that keep your resources limited and give it multiple revision, do not diversify the content, diversify the time given to the revision. And still this is something which is often taken as a hard pill, so people are not able to adapt to it.
True, true.
What do you think is the mindset related challenge which keeps people away from achieving these things? These are very basic things, na? You have told that this has been your mantra, it has worked out in your case. Still many a times people are not able to do it, exactly implement it. So what is that mental inertia? What is inhibiting them?
Ma'am, I think the one problem I have observed is the time inconsistency problem. People value their time today. They take it for granted, and they do not realize that every today has compounding effect after a year. So every day is a precious day for us, and it is a limited day for us as well. So we need to make sure that priorities are set in a way that it helps us to sort of move ahead, not move behind. So that is very important. And I think that mental inertia sometimes comes from so many information available in the market. And sometimes aspirants tend to believe these informations without any self-analysis, self-introspections. I think that is very important. That's where the role of PYQs and syllabus comes into picture.
Okay, so what has been your consistency regime like? Like, I have seen broadly two kind of students. One is that they study for 6 hours every day. Okay, they are very disciplined. And the second category is that they intensively read for 2 days and then they get a burnout, which they naturally will because they've been studying for, let's say, 14, 12 hours. They get a burnout, then they again do it. So what has been your consistency regime like?
Ma'am, to be honest, I never tracked my time. I had my weekly goals. And on an average, I used to complete my topic in a week. It may take 3 days or 4 days. It may sometimes, for a subject like history, geography, it may even take 2 weeks. So on an average, I had allocated my time in such a way that I used to complete a topic for every week. Once I get completed, I used to move on to another topic because the syllabus is very vast. If we try to perfect each and every topic, then 1 year would not suffice us. So that is where I believe that aspirants should know where to start and where to stop. Where to start, though, they'll do. Where to stop is something that they need to find. They need to do their own analysis. Take the help of UPSC materials, PYQs and syllabus. Sometimes use the guidance provided by the coaching institute, or other ways around. Sometimes the aspirants have contact with the successful candidates who have cleared this examination. You may take their opinion as well. कि कहाँ पे रुकना है, कहाँ पे आगे जाना है, कैसे जाना है. This shifting of topic after every week helped me to cover GS in a very comfortable way. It consolidated my GS preparation actually.
Right, and I think this is a very insightful thing what you are saying, because when to start and when to stop is something which nowadays you can also delegate onto a person known as mentor.
True.
That is why mentorship programs are also flourishing, because they kind of cut down the time that you might be taking because of lack of experience. Because see, you are somebody who had a lot of clarity, and it was equivalently augmented by good hard work.
True.
So I think it has worked for you, but at the same time, this particular thing could be delegated towards mentors as well, right? I think that would have also helped you. You have also been associated with a mentor. So anything which you remember from that mentorship experience?
Actually, ma'am, the mentor I had mentored me during critical juncture after completing GS course. He said that, he asked me about how are you feeling, the preparation is done, so what is your way forward, how are you going to approach this examination. So I said, sir, I'm a content minimalist person, so I have very limited content. I do maximum practice over it. So he said, you have very good clarity. So
even I am telling you.
yeah, very good clarity. So that is very important actually, because the constraints are not being realized by the aspirants. So they take their time for granted. That is not a sustainable way of preparation. So as you said, ma'am, I think mentoring can also help them. Sometimes due to lack of information or even misinformation misguides them. And very brilliant students, bright students tend to feel lost in this journey. That's where hand-holding support comes into picture, giving constant feedbacks, constant assurance, because this examination is not just about academic knowledge. This is also about emotional competence.
Right.
You also need somebody who can empathize with you in this journey. So that is where mentoring support also helps into, that comes into help and support, where a mentor sort of assumes your position and he or she thinks from your perspective and provides tailored advices, so that it is also mentally helping you to recover better, as well as academically also it helps you to improve. So I think that's where mentoring support helps aspirants, to guide them, to handhold them, to sustainably lead them into this journey.
So, Rashad, in this entire journey, one is supposed to feel stressed, overwhelmed. There's isolation as well, which is a chosen one. Nobody's imposing, but we choose it for ourselves to maximize our productivity.
True.
Did you ever incur those instances of, feeling overwhelmed or feeling
Obviously,
stressed?
ma'am, between prelims and mains, it was a living hell for me. Mentally, I was very low, very overwhelmed, and often I used to burst out into tears. And there was a point I remember saying to my parents, "Ye to maise nahi hoga. I want to quit this process." I remember they said me one effective thing, that you have qualified prelims in your first attempt, and aspirants used to take 2-3 attempts to just have this opportunity to write mains, which God has blessed you because you have cleared it in first attempt, and you have this opportunity with you. If you do not exercise this opportunity to the fullest possible way, then it is a gravest injustice that you are committing against some other aspirants, because they would have utilized it in a best possible manner. I think that sort of had guilt on me, and that pushed me to, okay, fine, we'll be indifferent to outcomes. We'll just focus on efforts. Whatever the result may, I'll accept it gracefully. I think that words of my parents helped me a lot. Second thing, ma'am, I believe that engage with optimistic persons who are more optimistic about you than you for yourself. Sometimes you need, for every Hanuman, there was a Jambavan behind them.
Completely. Yeah.
So they need to make you realize your own potential, make you realize your own things that driven you towards this journey. I think that association also helped me a lot throughout this journey. One aspirant, whenever I used to get upset or depressed in this journey, I used to call her, and she used to very compassionately, empathetically, she used to advise me. She used to tell things in a very good way, and our calls usually ranges between 35 minutes to 40 minutes, and sparing that amount of time every week or every other day during this break between prelims and mains is a very huge thing. So she helped me a lot actually. Whenever I used to feel troubled, I used to call her, "Didi, ऐसा हो रहा है, बहुत depressed लग रहा है, क्या करूँ मैं?" And she used to have very compassionately, she used to tell me things in a very comforting way. I think those kind of aspirant friends, parents, they helped me a lot to stay in this journey, stay grounded in this journey actually.
That's right. In fact, generally people are advised that you should cut off from the society to prepare in this exam, for this exam, which is very ruthless. But it is a society and some optimistic elements of the society that actually, first of all, keeps you grounded, keeps you motivated, and they pick you at the hardest times. Yes. And we generally overlook that. So I think there's a very big role of especially your peer group and especially your parents. Parents have their mindset towards you, their trust towards you, that matters a lot. And that is also getting reflected from you. Now, Rashad, can you take me back to your childhood? How were you as a child, as a student, and what shaped your mindset? You were also hailing from the native land of Dr. Kalam. So what inspired you? What, kind of nourished you into this person that you are today?
Ma'am, I was a curious kid actually. So whenever I used to feel challenges, I think I used to take it head on. Sometimes also it was also there that बहुत fear of failure हो जाता है. That was also there. But those are part and parcel of childhood journey. And growing up in a native place where Dr. Kalam belonged to, and that quotes, that philosophies he have propounded, that had huge impact on me. And even I regret that never meeting him physically, never being able to have a small conversation with him. I think God has deprived me of that opportunity. But yeah, okay, wherever he is, I think he'll be blessing me right now. I think that had helped me a lot, and that have also helped me have a bent towards public services. And moreover, my parents were also very supportive. Whenever I used to take any courses or any extracurricular activities, they usually helped me financially, helped me emotionally. So these aspects helped me a person as I am right now, actually. They had a huge role in my life.
That's amazing. And it's so heartwarming to listen to all of this. Rashad, can you also help these students who wants to prepare by themselves? What should be the key strategies and the mindset required to clear the exam by themselves? And what is required in the terms of increasing their aptitude and enhancing their attitude?
I think in this journey, you need two support systems. One is UPSC PYQ and UPSC syllabus. And any candidate who are into self-study, I think these two are the northern stars to reach the shores. So when he or she makes the conscious decision to go for self-study, I think these two materials must be must. And even in prelims, we see the themes are being repetitively asked by UPSC. You have 30-40 themes in UPSC prelims, which is usually considered a very vast topic, that everything under sunlight is being asked in the UPSC. But there are patterns that, provided we sit down and do our analysis on our own, we'll get to know about these things, where certain topics are being emphasized by UPSC again and again. So for self-study aspirants, I would say that have that curiosity within you and use that curiosity in such a way that you can self-analyze these aspects, analyzing PYQs, analyzing syllabus, and this helps you a lot. This gives huge sense of entitlement that you have done something, that the outcome of it is because of your efforts that you have put into this process of self-analysis. I think that is important. Apart from that, today you have free materials available online or offline as well. So in a click of a button, you get every materials from multiple institute. Even some of the colleges also providing free materials in online. So use that material. Make sure that your material is encompassing and you are used to that kind of words, simple, lucid, and understanding words. So that helps you a lot when you are into a self-study preparation. And also, if possible, get in touch with some other aspirants, because when we have that conversation with other aspirants, they'll be also sharing their insights with us. It may also be helping in our preparation journey, and sharing each other's marks, sharing each other insights. That together helps a lot of aspirants to come up. So that pushes up in this journey. I think that is very important for people, for aspirants who are consciously choosing self-study as their way of preparation.
Great. And this we are learning from the horse's mouth. Somebody who has also got very good marks in JS and essay because of the clarity, because of the way he has used lucid language. We were discussing it, that how have you able to score good marks in essay, especially essay has got majorly grilled this year. So as we can see from the scores, what has helped you? Give me your essay strategy, and what do you think has made you stand apart in the first attempt itself, and that too without any taking specialized courses for essays? So what exactly?
Ma'am, I think I would refer the aspirants to 3 toppers copies. One is Vikram Grewal sir, All India rank 51, I remember, 2018.
And yours is 52.
Second is that of Anudip Dorishetty sir's, All India rank 1, 2017, and Shruti Sharma ma'am's copy. These copies provided me insights that how to approach an essay, how to have that flow in our essay preparation, and let the examiner explore different dimensions in our essay, yet making sure that you are being relevant to what is being asked, and yet you are all encompassingly covered multiple aspects, ending it in an optimistic note, making sure that you are patriotic and you're reflecting the values proposed by the government of the day, how it is being incorporated. For instance, Developed India Goal, SDG goals, Millennium Development Goals. How are you incorporating these goals into the essays. And I usually had a framework. For philosophical essays, I used to start from Buddhism, because Buddhism is a very vast philosophy, and you can articulate that philosophy with respect to the essays being asked. So I usually start with Buddhism, get into medieval India, modern, polity, and polity also I used to refer to various case laws provided by Supreme Court. For instance, Article 21, how it is being expanded by various judgments. I used to reflect those articles, those judgments, and say how the judiciary has used these principles to expand the scope of Article 21. So such sort of dimension opening helps examiner, gives them also a good reading for them, because satisfying examiner is very important. You have to convince them to give more marks. You have to persuade them in such a way that they are not being forced, but they are being sort of invited into an essay. You show them multiple dimensions, and in a polite way and optimistic way, you show him the exit path as well. So that is very important. And those 3 copies helped me a lot. Apart from that, this framework also helped me a lot in writing essays, actually.
Okay, so let's say we have understood the first framework. We are starting from ancient, and then you're moving towards other dimensions of syllabus. How would be the framework of second essay? Because we cannot replicate.
Yeah, sure. If, say, ma'am, any technical subject are being asked, for instance, this time social media and FOMO was being asked. So that gives you, opens you...
to that? You picked that one?
No, ma'am, I picked the ideas wala topic where small ideas have large consequences. I remember starting that essay with a case study where I pointed the self-help group movement in Bangladesh, how that helped women empowerment, that helped control population stabilization, that helped improve female labor force participation rate. Even there also I refer to instances of modern India, how salt as a symbol provided nightmares to the British, how that sort of connected Indians with patriotic feelings. So that kind of opening dimensions is very important. And you can replicate your framework, but not in a way that you have done for your first essay. You may make sure that orders are changed. You may refer to new topics, new insights. For instance, you can also refer to Chandrayaan-2, how the Chandrayaan-3, how the Chandrayaan-2's failure have not deterred the ISRO scientists. Rather, it motivated them to do again much better and much cost-effective way. So those kind of real-time examples would help the examiner give that perspective. Okay, this candidate understands the theme, and this candidate has covered multiple dimensions in his or her essay. I think that kind of persuasion is important with respect to essay writing.
Okay. Now, having cleared the examination, and we also know that UPSC, when in terms of selecting the candidate, appreciates a lot of diversity. But still, having cleared it, I would ask you, what exactly do you think is UPSC looking for? What are the traits UPSC is looking for in a candidate, which is so diversified that it could be found from 6th attempt to 1st attempt candidates? What exactly is that? What do you feel?
Ma'am, I believe UPSC's minds can be read by 2. One is God, another is UPSC itself. Having said that, I believe throughout my journey, what I observed is UPSC tests your emotional competence more than academic competence. When you're emotionally well informed, when you have right mindset, then it will definitely lead to right knowledge. So that is very important. And you need to have a sense of purpose for why you are doing things for civil services. When you have that inner drive, as they say, where there's a will, there is a way. So when you have that will, and it will definitely lead to in a right way. So for an aspirant who are potentially looking for this examination, I would say have a huge public orientation, service mindset is very important. And I think read about our history. I recently read about Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's first speech towards 1947 where he addressed the cadets, the aspirants, where he said, you are the steel frames of our country, and you have free hand, do things for our society. So such kind of insights motivates you a lot, because you are and now potentially becoming a part of steel frame. So you need to inculcate those nationalistic, patriotic feelings amongst you, and at the same time have huge service-oriented mindset. Because at the end of the day, it helps you a lot. When you are selfish in this journey, it has limited potential to push you further. So you have candidates appearing for multiple attempts. That means that they have a huge inner drive that is driving towards them, that is making them persevere with respect to this grueling process of appearing again and again. I think that service orientation is very important for aspirants. Once they have that, once they have right mindset, then I think this journey could be a pleasant journey for them as well.
Amazing. What an awesome command over clarity this person has. It is very impressive. But what about those students who might be feeling dreaded because they have wasted a lot of attempts and not even clearing prelims, because it must be taking a lot of toll on their mental health, would be challenging their willingness to clear the paper. They came with a lot of conviction, but that might be getting diluted now. So how do we motivate them back into the journey?
Ma'am, I think they need to again introspect what has prompted them to take this journey. If that inner drive is still there, they can go for it again with a self-analysis, of course. They may take a coaching guidance or mentoring guidance, or they may contact with other aspirants who have cleared this examination. That would help them. Second thing I believe, ma'am, is that with respect to aspirants who have appeared for multiple times, make sure that, sometimes that we tend to get overwhelmed by this process itself. It's a very tedious process where every time you are in that uncertain field, niklega ya nahi niklega, niklega ya nahi niklega. Back in mind, I had a constraint that I'll be attempting 3 attempts. If that does not fructify, my efforts are not fructified, then I thought I would go for post-graduation, or I will have some career orientation. Even in UPSC, many aspirants who have either cleared or who have appeared till last interview are providing excellent guidance in many institutes, or freelancing their mentorship as well. You can explore that opportunity as well, where you are careerly oriented as well as you are still in that process. If you altogether want to quit this process, that is also fine. Again, that is your call. Make sure again, if you have that fuel in you, you have that resources, you have a frank conversation with your parents that aisa hai, and I am thinking like this, what to do further, and take their inputs as well, and then form your own opinion, own way of doing things, and own way forward. Actually,
should be there any judgment in their minds that they are in their, let's say, second attempt or last attempt? Should there be any biases? Should they be fearing society's judgment upon the same? Or is it completely fine to, is it completely worth it to crack the exam irrespective of the number of attempts? What is your say on that?
Ma'am, I think again it's individual preferences. But one thing I would say is that never carry the baggages. Past is past. We cannot do, we have no control over past action. What we have is our present. Let's have a frank introspection towards it. If there are genuine mistakes, if there are genuine input lacks was there, efforts were lacking in your preparation, then please do rectify it. If, then if you have feel like you have done everything, then still you feel like it's not so rewarding for me to go, to take this attempt further, then please have an exit option actually. Because it's society would always be judgmental actually. You clear or not clear, that's not important. What is important is who you are and what you want to become. And civil services is one such pathway towards that. There are multiple pathways. You can go towards entrepreneurship, you can go towards research, you can go towards teaching. There are multiple careers available for us. So there's never one career, one successful career, as there's no such thing for, to define success in life. Agar success ka definition UPSC clearing hota, then every year only 1,000 candidates are declared successful. I think success is a more broader term than just clearing UPSC. Focus on your goal. UPSC is a pathway. If you don't like this pathway, choose alternative pathway. Again, that should be your call. Have conversation with your parents, with your well-wishers, then take a call.
Right. And I also believe this. I have been telling my students also that success is never about career. It is not career oriented. It is mindset oriented.
True.
You would be feeling successful every day if you are doing something good for yourself, which is bringing you, some self of, worthiness. So I think if we dissect or if we actually rely upon smaller successes, we would be feeling much better about ourselves, and that will ultimately lead to a larger success,
Yes.
whatever we are meant for. So that insight is also very helpful. Now, let's get into a lighter note of this podcast, and let us shoot some rapid fire questions, fun and personal. Okay. So, and please promise me that you will be telling me the first honest word that is coming to your mind. Okay. So the first question is, what's your favorite non-study activity that has helped you to unwind?
Ma'am, I think walking. Walking, jogging, and
as plain as and as simple as that. Okay, that's great. One myth about UPSC prep you want to burst forever.
that you need to have read multiple number of books, hundreds of books that you need to read. Utna to मैंने पढ़ा नहीं. I think I had 6 to 7 books I must have read in UPSC journey, throughout this UPSC journey. So that is the biggest myth I would think I need to burst. So,
Amazing. If you weren't preparing for UPSC, what would you be doing right now?
Ma'am, I'll be doing my post-graduation.
That's great. So, rank 52nd in first attempt. Okay. Were you like shocked, or were you thrilled, or were you calmly confident? What was your first reaction after result?
It was a shock actually, but the main thing that came to my mind to abhi to prelims nahi the na, nikal gaya. That was a big sigh of relief actually.
You won't believe, everybody I'm talking to, all the toppers I'm talking to, they have the same thing to say, that more than the feeling of success. We are feeling this feeling of relief. So yeah, I understand that. Okay, one more question. How many questions did you solve before prelims? How many mock tests did you solve before prelims?
Ma'am, I think over 2 years of my preparation, about 60 to 65 mock papers for GS1 and about 5 to 6 for CSAT, because for CSAT, I entirely focused on PYQ based solving question paper. So that helped me a lot.
Perfect. In fact, many a times in my webinar also, I've been telling that at least set a target of solving 6,000 questions on an average before sitting in the prelims paper. That really helps a lot. It helps you cover and revise almost all the important topics. How many papers did you solve before mains?
For mains answer writing. Ma'am, I think around 30 full mark, 3 hours papers, and for GS I'm saying, and 1.5 hours paper, around 20 to 25 papers I have solved.
Okay. How many pages were, like how many pages did you create for notes?
Ma'am, I honestly never counted it, but I had 6 to 7 box files filled with notes actually.
Boxes filled, fine. So 6 to 7 boxes filled, amazing. Okay. What was your parents' reaction right after your result?
They were very happy actually, because I was in the self-doubt that maybe is bar nahi hoga, this is not my call this time actually. But they were more optimistic than me, of course. My father was saying that you will definitely clear. My mother had more or less my mindset. So my father, of course, had tears in his eyes, and my mother was very overwhelmed after hearing this result. And both were very, very happy that day actually.
Yeah, in fact, you were telling me, and this is also very encouraging, that his parents used to tell that we are even fine with you giving 6 attempts. So there was no pressure on you as such.
True.
So they were being very optimistic, right? And I believe that is a very rare thing, because to show that, see, I believe showing patience is the biggest form of love.
Yeah. For aspirants also, I would say, importantly, the parents of the aspirants.
Yeah.
Give them the time actually. Because this examination, you are never sure that what would be the outcome of this examination. You are always in that uncertainty zone actually. When you give that support, when you give that constant courage and motivation, that helps them a lot. Because every candidate, success belongs not just to that candidate, it's the society's success as well. The kind of environment they are brought up in, the kind of teachers they have had, starting from childhood till coaching. So their environment, they also deserve the success, and they should claim that success equally as that candidate actually.
How are you taking the age factor In your case, was it an advantage for you or disadvantage? What was your mindset about your age?
I still believe that I went to my relative's home and I met a kid, and she was very excited about UPSC, and she asked me doubts and bhai aise karna hai waise karna hai. And after completing, she took a picture and she touched my feet. Actually, I felt very elderly at that point of time. Since you reminded me of age, I think right now that is striking in my mind. Okay, you are 22, you are reaching 22, and you are surpassing 22. So I am feeling very elderly right now after clearing UPSC. Actually.
So, but that was not an obstacle for you.
No.
You were never counting your age as an obstacle,
No.
right? You were never underconfident because of maybe not having experienced that many UPSC years or preparation years. You were confident about that. I'll handle it in the first attempt. That's amazing. That also speaks volume about his mindset, about his clarity, and we are very overwhelmed to have him as our student at Vajiram Ravi. So, just last few words, especially for the people who are about to appear in prelims examination this year, because of course, like every year, it is going to be turbulent. It is going to be manageable but unpredictable. So, what are your mantra to crack the UPSC prelims paper?
Ma'am, as you said, only barely 3 weeks are left, as I recall it. And I believe now is a time to stay calm, composed. One biggest learning I have had during this journey is that have no expectations. ऐसा pressure में मत जाना कि इस attempt में इस बार prelims clear करना है, इस बार इस attempt में mains interview clear करना है, कुछ service पाना है. Without any expectations, give your efforts. And most importantly, what this does is that it frees your mind. Exogenous pressures हट जाता है. And for prelims, thinking is very important. At the examination hall, deducing things, finding answers. Knowledge has its constraint. Once solving 35-40 questions, you'd be left towards ऐसे open में खोल देते हैं. And you need to have that critical thinking at that point of time. And that can be accessed only when you have a calm, composed and stable mindset there. So that is very important. Right now, you focus on mental health, trust your preparation, trust that you have done good work over the period of time. And when you have that self-confidence and self-trust, those are big morale boosters in your examination. And do not get carried away by the kind of questions that are being asked. 2023, it was tough, though people were very upset and depressed in the examination hall. This time, it was on a relatively easier note. So people got carried away, very overwhelmed in a positive way. So that is again a false thing that aspirants do. Rather, you think about yourself and make sure that, okay, now that I have received this examination, I have been preparing for over a period of time, and I'll do my 100% best. Whatever the result, I'll own up to it. When you have that kind of mindset, then it relatively eases off your pressure. Right now is a time to focus on mental health and revision if and when it is possible for you, focusing on PYQs, focusing on prelim specific notes if you have taken any. So that is very important. And second, be grateful to what you have, because supportive parents, supportive society is very important in this journey. If those are available to you, then be grateful to them. Be grateful to every day the process you are undertaking. I think that also gives you positive mindset, which is very much required in this journey.
Yes, and one also needs to be grateful of their own willingness and courage as well. Let's say nothing is helping them. Then have this utter sense of self-belief.
True.
Always back your decision, because the confusion always leads to you getting anxious or stressed about things, and that kind of is reflected throughout your examination. Prelims maybe, mains maybe.
True.
So that happens. Also, I believe in prelims, people say that there's a golden ratio of attempts as to how many attempts you should attempt. So were you also following that?
Yes, ma'am. I think I used mocks actually to sort of see my optimum number of questions, which fetches me maximum marks.
Yeah.
And it had around 88 to 90 questions whenever I used to attempt. My marks used to get peaked. So अगर उसके बाद जाता, उसके नीचे आ जाता, तो it used to be very less.
Got it.
So I attempted exactly 88 questions in prelims, and thankfully by 2 marks I have cleared prelims this time.
Yeah. Now let's say I give you the prelims paper एंड अभी आपको मैं कल ही प्रीलिम्स का पेपर, लेट्स से आई एम प्रोवाइडिंग दिस टू यू, आपको पहले पेपर में पहले क्वेश्चन में ही लेट्स से इन द फर्स्ट 5 क्वेश्चंस यू आर सेइंग एकदम डॉजर क्वेश्चंस, जिसको देख के लगता है ना कि वी काइंड ऑफ स्टार्ट क्वेश्चनिंग द एंटायर एग्जिस्टेंस कि दिस इज आउट ऑफ सिलेबस. So how will you start managing a paper like that?
Ma'am, one thing is that if such questions come, then it is equally true for everybody. So I'm not a unique person or not an exception to that. And 5 questions aisa hota tha and 95 questions, it is in your hands. Just focus on the positive. Even if you know 10 questions, use attempt those questions first to get your morale in a higher ground. Once when you sort of stimulate into that process, then your mind starts thinking, and you are now in a comfortable position to think critically. Make sure that you use your time in an optimum way to find your answers. Sometimes UPSC uses standard tones, very extreme statements they used to give, or very open statements they used to give. Those statements are generally either right or wrong. So that kind of analysis also very important, and that comes from PYQs actually.
Okay. I want to ask a lot of things to him, but because we have constraint of time, one more thing. Would you be relying on confidence, clarity, or hard work? One among the 3 you have to choose in your preparation.
Ma'am, if I take my own journey, I think clarity came first, then these 2 followed. So I would pick clarity because right mindset leads to right knowledge, and it gives you self-confidence as well actually.
Yeah, it's also one of the 3 ratnas, right? So as these scorecards are finally out, so we also have one big revelation. We have found out that Rashad has got 206 marks in UPSC interview in the very first attempt. Rashad, seriously, take us through that. How was your interview?
Actually, the board was very, very cordial. I had Shilvardhan sir's panel. So even before going to interview, I think we used to have members of 6, we are in a panel. And one of the candidate had already attempted interview in her previous attempt. So she said, now there's no point looking into notes and newspaper. Let's have a talk so that we can have that mental relaxation, let the time pass by, and we, in a positive note, go and give this thing. So she said, and we obliged to her actually. And four of us were chit-chatting, having our laughters and sharing each other's journey, busting myths. So these happened at the interview venue actually. And once that got over, and I remember entering into the panel, they were very welcoming. They said, welcome to the conversation, please join us. So that sort of comforted me a lot, and that opened up me as well. And I was, surprisingly, I was very calm that day, and calmer than mock interviews actually. So that, I think, and most of the questions were also related to DAF, since I prepared that well. And some of questions were from my optional background, economics ka. And they asked me about Tamil Nadu's female labor force participation rate, MSMEs, and role of subsidies in for business enterprises. So these kind of topics they asked me. And since my hobbies were also being asked, one is that I have keen interest on international relations. So one of the panel member asked me about Europe, where he questioned about the conversation, the dialogue that is happening between Russia and US about Ukraine conflict without involving Europe. So he asked me, do you think, what is your opinion about Europe's strategic future in international relations or international diplomacy? So I said, sir, there's a famous adage with respect to Europe, that Europe has outsourced its defense to the US, energy to Russia, and market to China. So everybody laughed actually. So that kind of answering and crisp answers with courage and confidence, that is what that is being assessed in interview, if I could assess on my own. I think apart from that, you need to also have futuristic perspective as well. Be optimistic. Of course, the country with 1.4 billion population do have some challenges.
Yes.
But as a civil servant, with respect to the resources you have, you need to make sure that you employ those resources in such a way that it benefits the maximum population, and it also it's also a sustainable way of doing things. That structurally also it helps our country. It not drains our resources. Rather, it provides avenues for building and creating things in our country. So that kind of mindset I had. And apart from that, I made sure that I'll not go with any set of preconceptions.
Okay.
Whatever the panel may be, cordial or intimidating. Some members had that kind of panel as well. So it's not in our hands really. So rather than obsessing about what kind of panel I would be getting, I framed my answers in such a way that irrespective of questions that is being asked, I'll be honest. I will show my integrity there, and I'll not lie. I will be brutally honest. Even if as simple questions like what is economics, if I don't know, I'll be honest about it. So that kind of mindset I had, I think that helped me a lot in this interview preparation actually.
That's amazing. So if you sum up the interview strategy that you had in your mind, it was about having a very strong mindset of courage, mindset of being honest, mindset of having, clarity and objectivity.
True.
For the panel.
True.
Right? I think these things have helped you, and I think these things will also be inspiring our aspirants. And before closing this podcast, I would like Rashad to speak few words from his beloved Dr. Kalam.
I think one quote that have inspired me a lot is Sir's about birth and death, that your birth may be an event, but your death should be a history. And history is very vast actually. So make sure that you do work in such a way that your works reflects your virtues, and you be grateful for whatever resources you have, and be thankful to the society that had helped you throughout this journey.
Thank you so much for this. So this was Rashad for you. So we are signing off on this note. I hope it inspired you. Let us know about your feedbacks. Bye-bye and take care.